South Park is one of the most famous adult animated comedies ever, and in 1997, Acclaim had such faith in South Park video games that they bought the rights to make South Park games before the first season even finished airing. And since South Park was just starting, Acclaim got the rights for a very small bit of money, and it paid off, with the show becoming insanely popular. And by March 1998, Acclaim knew they had to make South Park games to capitalize on it. So they quickly produced South Park for the Nintendo 64, and despite South Park being for adults and the 64 being a kid's console, the game was still a success, and they went ahead to make more. They made a lot of South Park games, but with so many games being made, some ended up being cancelled. One of the cancelled ones was titled A Week in South Park. It was a point-and-click adventure game and was planned to release for the PlayStation and personal computers, mainly so it could use CD-quality music and voice acting. It had some promise with it being developed by Dreamforce Entertainment, who had made one of the most critically acclaimed point-and-click games ever, Sanitarium. It sounds cool, but there isn't any gameplay footage. It was 15% done, and then it was cancelled. But this wasn't the only cancelled South Park game. We have South Park for the Game Boy Color. Now, if you have a Venn diagram of Game Boy and South Park, the only thing they would have in common is that they exist. South Park just doesn't fit the Game Boy demographic. The 64? Sure. But the Game Boy? That's like if they put The Last of Us on the Fisher-Price Little Gamer console. The demographics just don't fit. It makes sense that it was cancelled. But still, a South Park game on the Game Boy is interesting. With the limitations of the Game Boy, how could a whole South Park game work on it? Well, we found out, because recently, out of nowhere, over an hour of footage from it was uploaded to YouTube. And from the footage, it looks good. It's a puzzle game that's very similar to DK94, also on the Game Boy, and I love DK94, so this game looks right on my alley. And despite being on the Game Boy, they really captured the designs of the South Park kids in 8-bit. It's really well made, especially the soundtrack. This is a bop. But this is really where the story ends. We still haven't gotten a playable version of the game. But there's still hope. I mean, if someone found footage of the entire game, a playable version might not be that far behind. It could still be found, and that's true for all lost media. I've made so many videos on lost media that was found, and they're not all important, but they all deserve to be found. In a perfect world, all media ever would be preserved, but that's not the case. But that's what lost media searchers are for. There's so many people dedicated to preserving all media, and knowing the community, this South Park game is gonna be found. I'm Benson, and thank you for watching. Like the wind.